welcome to Tally Talks, a podcast to ramble about Tally Hall. I'm your host, Emma, and today's episode is sponsored by Husk Recordings. I'm joined by Jukmifgguggh, and today we'll be discussing Tally Hall covers.
Hi, I'm Jukmifgguggh. I make Tally Hall covers. Or I did. I ran out.
What? So you make some Tally Hall covers and stuff, and that's where some people will know your things from. You were mentioned previously on the episode 4 or something of Tally Talks. I forgot which one it was, but with uh Rep Fit, who also contributed to We Like to Play It All Tally Hall cover album. And
Yes, shout
that's
out Rep Bit.
heck yeah, and that's when we completely butchered your username. Um, but I don't even remember what we said. I just know it was wrong. Um,
All
Today,
interpretations are correct to me.
let's go. Let's go. Yeah, it's just kind of like the equivalent of a keyboard smash.
Pretty much. Some people
Was
will
that how
call
you
me Keyboard
created
Smash as
it?
well. It's
Keyboard.
not. I actually stole it from Reddit. It's not even my original Keyboard Smash. It has like a Know Your Meme entry. You can search it.
Oh my gosh. There's lore.
Not really.
Well, how did you
Not
how
really.
did you first find Tally Hall?
It's a great question. I had that question a while ago, and I tried my best to find out exactly when it was. I kind of have two answers. First off was I was really into Lemon Demon, and there's just a big overlap there, so it sort of introduced through the fandom that way. The second one is in one of my friends' group chats, they sent a Ruler of Everything meme. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
And I thought for the longest time it was like the Zabloing cat or whatever, but I looked back and it was actually Battle Cats. But either way, now I'm here. It was like
Welcome.
3 years ago.
I know, right? It's crazy to think that, oh my gosh, the ruler of everything memes, like the first ones are 4 years old now.
Wow.
It's been a while. It's crazy. Was it kind of like from that point on you started listening to more of their music, or was it just like a few songs at first?
Well, yeah, it was a few songs at first. I mean, specifically Ruler of Everything, because I was really intrigued by the lyrics, especially at that part. It was like I had not heard a song like that before. And then after that, I watched their Laundra matinee performances. And then I was like, oh, shoot, they're
Yes.
actually good as well. And then it kind of just spiraled off that.
Um, I realized as we were getting ready for the podcast, that I had seen some of your things on YouTube before, but I think because of the really recognizable username. Um, no, I'm just being goofy, but I realized I had heard some of the like automaton covers before, and I had seen them circulating. What had inspired you to like start getting involved in like making Tally Hall related content?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, first off, I've been playing guitar for 11 years now. So music has been a part of my life for more than half of it. But I think around the time that I started, I stopped taking lessons. I was in real lessons, but after they stopped, I needed a way to motivate myself to keep playing, and I think it was like just around that time when I started doing them, so I could record myself playing guitar and have something to work towards.
Nice. Yeah, was it like specifically music theory type lessons that you were doing prior to that, or kind of variety of stuff?
It was a lot of disappointment in me. I never practiced.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, the both my teachers, one after the other, because I moved provinces halfway through it. Uh, they kept trying to get me to do things, and I would not be able to do them by like the time that the recital came around.
Mm. Had to have the motivation and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I have it now, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. I can relate to that though. I took piano lessons for a variety of years and then I just didn't practice. I didn't have the motivation for what I was learning.
Hmm.
Um, so having something like Tally Hall, Like, that stuff is fascinating. I haven't really, like, gotten super back into, like, music, like, practicing, I would say, but it's definitely something where it can definitely be inspiring, and I've seen that happen, and so I think that's pretty cool that it was able to bring you back to guitar.
Mhm.
And then do you, like, work with MIDI as well? Like, I can see you have
Oh,
a
yes.
keyboard there in the background, and
Oh,
is
I don't play that.
okay.
I use it as a desk. Oh, geez. I really shouldn't. But I do work with MIDI a lot, and most of the time I'll just draw it in. I have a bass now. I used to not have a bass, so I would draw MIDI in for bass as well, but now I can actually have real bass.
Nice.
But I spent most of my time on the drums because that was really fun for me.
Nice. So do you have, like, a drum kit then?
I happen to have one. We are renting drums just for this month. Um, but for all other months, it has just been MIDI drums for me.
I'm sure that helps give, like, appreciation for, like, people like Ross, though.
Oh yeah. No, for some time I would just send like isolated drum parts from my covers in the hits chat. I mean nobody actually saw them, but I get to appreciate Ross's drumming on all of the songs because I've done covers of all of them. I haven't done a full cover of Cannibal yet. Ah, I need to do that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, his
yeah,
drumming on that is so good.
that's your next challenge, or you learn how to
Yes.
do that on the drums right now. I'm
Or
being
I could, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I'm learning
depending on
some of the easier songs, but
how crazy you want to go.
mhm.
So yeah, so we kind of touched on how you've done some tally hall covers before, but like, what would you say are like some of the ways that people might recognize you most for your contributions to the fandom?
I don't know about recognize, but if you've ever heard a cover of Taken for a Ride, they probably used my MuseScore MIDI because
Mm.
it was taken off of MuseScore and put into a free MIDI pack called Rens without crediting me, of course, because it's a MIDI. But yeah, there's been a lot of there has actually been like a chiptune cover where they just took my MIDI and made chiptune instruments on top of it, and then that got retweeted by the official Tally Hall Twitter account. No credit, of course, but technically that is there.
You have CDs. Um,
I do have CDs. Oh, I should probably mention those. Those are probably the biggest things, huh? Uh, so I have made covers of both Tally Hall albums, Good and Evil first, and then Marvin's. Most of the songs are with otamatones instead of vocals, but on Marvin's I did some other stuff too. And those CDs were available for a time um, via Husk Recordings, Viva Husk. It's no longer around. I think it only ships to the US now. Andrew owns a copy of Otama and Tone. Needle Juice stopped by and gave him some of Husk's best Tally Hall stuff, and I was one of them.
that's beautiful. That's an honor.
It really is.
What had inspired you to specifically make covers with automatones?
My biggest inspiration was the real Sully G. Um, I loved all of his stuff, especially the Take on Me was really good. Um, Rasputin, also my favorite. So one year I asked for an automaton for Christmas. It was the original version, really small, doesn't work very well. But yeah, with that, I made a couple covers of some songs from Spirit Phone and also some songs from Mouth Sounds. At that time, I didn't actually know how to play automaton, so I used a lot of Melodyne to get the right pitches and the right timing. I don't know why I had Melodyne at that point, but it really came in clutch. That was a really good experience for me, I think. Some of those actually got like substantial views, and that was a good motivation for me to keep going.
I am an automaton cover enjoyer. I've probably been watching like the real Silly G stuff for like 6 years.
Oh my.
It may or may not be the inadvertent reason of how I got into Tally Hall, but it's a long domino effect of different things that I can specifically trace back to the real Silly G.
Wow.
Um,
Well, now I want to hear about that.
yeah, so I find the real silly G. I'm like, oh wow, this is the most beautiful thing ever. The real silly G covers Revenge, also known as the Creeper. Aw man,
Oh man.
Minecraft parody. I get obsessed with Minecraft parodies and Minecraft songs. Someone who did a Minecraft song covers a song from Steven Universe. I then watched the entirety of Steven Universe to understand what the song means. Steven Universe ends, and my friends are like, Emma, you should finally watch Gravity Falls. I watch Gravity Falls, and this guy called Lemon Demon does some music for it. I get into Lemon Demon while also getting into a Gravity Falls animatic, and they're like, Emma, you should listen to Tally Hall. Um, yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
So yes, the real Silly G is pretty iconic, and I have to like blame him for inadvertently like causing like all of my interests in the past 5 years.
Hey, well, I can also blame him for that actually.
Thanks, real
We'll
Silly
say four
G.
years. I see. I actually got to work with him on Marvin's. He did a
Oh
little
my
cameo.
gosh. Let's go.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
go. His
Well,
ruler
when
of
I say work
everything
with him,
cover.
yeah. Wait, sorry, which one?
Oh, I was gonna say his ruler of everything color.
Oh,
His ruler of everything cover. When that dropped, I was imploding. I was like,
mm,
it's all come full circle, guys.
mm. Like, how does he even know about this one?
Yeah, so you worked with him on Marvin's covers.
Yeah. Well, I say worked with him, but really I just paid for a cameo and I had to like fit all the instructions into the 100, was it 100 characters or whatever that I get to send to him. And I was like, please record the part in two of where the phone call, but you have to do this part. And then he totally did it. Like he totally understood it and he killed it. And I'm so grateful for that.
That
Because
is
then in
iconic.
the notes I can like actually say the real Sully G was part of this.
Yeah, I saw that when I was looking at the Marvin's cover. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, like the amount of effort he puts into his videos too is very captivating.
For sure. I mean, that's his biggest thing, I think, because I'm way better than him song wise. But I mean, he says he's not a musician. Like he's a video maker first. And I mean, it really shows. His videos are great.
Yeah.
And like some of them
Yeah.
are like fully animated as well. It's crazy.
Yep, I remember the Revenge one was animated. Yeah, so you had to go through and you had to cover like all of these different Tally Hall songs. You mentioned before it gave you some additional appreciation for Ross, but like what were some things going through that process that you feel like unlocked things that maybe the average Tally Hall listener may not have realized?
Oh man, that's a really good question, and I have a really disappointing answer. Like I don't really know. Like it certainly helped me with my like music making process, but like I feel like everything I found out doing that is like not too hard to find out for yourself if you just look into the song. So for making Otama Antone, it's a good and evil cover, I force myself to finish a song by the end of the day every day for like a 12-day streak.
Oh
So a lot
wow.
of them are unfinished. That's why, because I would just force myself to like send it in abject at the end of the day. And Maury was the
Abject.
only person. Yeah, it was abject. Yeah, in
I haven't heard that name in
the
forever.
I haven't interacted with abject in quite a while. Gosh. But yeah, I would send my covers in the chat every day, and Maury would be the only person who ever reacted to them. And that was another big motivating thing, knowing somebody's listening to them. So shout out Maury. You're the best. Yeah, on day 12, I did the entirety of Out in the Twilight, the whole song in one day, which was kind of surprising because most of the
Let's
other
go.
songs I didn't get through. And then after that, I was burnt out. So then I took like a 5-month break and I finished it in November. But then for the last two songs, I also took 1 day each. So technically, the whole album was 2 weeks, just with a little bit of a gap in the middle.
A little bit.
But yeah, that taught me a little bit about how I operate, how I make music. Is I work really well if I have a tight deadline.
Definitely helps. And I think like having a deadline for something that you're motivated for helps a lot too, for sure.
Yep. I doubt I would have finished that if I picked some band that I wasn't really as into.
Yeah. Who would you say like you've mentioned like Lemon Demon already, but who would you say like along with Tally Hall are some of your like musical inspirations?
There's frighteningly few. There's so few. Like I could probably count it on both of my hands. We're gonna go with Radiohead and then Lemon Demon, Tally Hall. That's it.
Still, that's
Okay, one
music.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah, one hand. You did it on one hand. Yeah.
It's
I feel like there's definitely an overlap with those three though. Like
is there Radiohead?
I at least I feel like there's been quite a few people I've talked to who have said Radiohead is an influence for at least more of the musicians who have some like overlap with Tally Hall. That's something I've noticed. Um, I also had met some like Tally Hall fans in real life at a Jiraiya concert, and they
Hmm.
really liked Radiohead and were
Hmm.
telling me to listen to more, and I forgot to.
Hey Emma, you should listen to Radiohead.
Whoa!
Sorry.
Maybe. I know Scatterbrained.
Ooh,
Um,
good pick.
so but
My drummer
that's
friend likes that song. He really wants me to learn it, but I haven't yet.
you should consider it. You should do it. The whole one Radiohead song that I probably know.
Of course, it's one that I don't know. I've just remembered. Also, this summer, I got really into Royal Blood, which I mean, I do like pop music sometimes. They're rock, but specifically I was really intrigued by the fact that there's no guitarist in that band. It's a two
Hmm.
piece. But if you go listen to it, you're like, this is a four piece. There are two guitars. I can hear them. But he does all three of the two guitars and bass just with his bass.
Huh.
And I found that really inspiring. I sort of moved away from like recording more covers just to like figure out how he did that and then try to do that myself.
That's
And
interesting.
now
So
I can.
is it just like multiple layering of
It's like
tracks or mm,
octave effects and separate amps.
interesting, interesting. We're getting the lore.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, a lot of people figured this out 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I was a
but
little.
see, consider I am like I'd say I'm like a little bit past maybe an average music listener because considering the fact that I have been doing this podcast, I may not be completely normal about music, but I just don't notice a lot of these things, and so I get really excited when people point that out because it's like I never realized that before or knew it was possible. So it makes me very excited.
Okay, now I feel bad for not having any insight on the Tally Hall stuff.
It's all good. I do find it very fun though with the like Boralog recordings of when they were putting the
Oh, yeah.
album together. I think that offers a bit of like at least visual insight, even if I don't understand like on a musical level exactly what they're doing. They're having fun with it. But
Yeah, they certainly did a good job with their media presence.
oh
Give
yes,
them
oh
that.
yes. Like the real Sully G.
Like the real Sully G. Well,
Yeah.
he's been falling off though. Uh,
Real Sully G's been falling off. Oh no.
his,
Granted, I
I mean, his content's still great, but like he has been,
well, Tally Hall it's still keeps growing. So
yeah. And they don't even have to do anything.
right, they haven't. It's very evident they don't have to do anything. But yeah. having there be covers of like good and evil makes me happy too, because I feel like Marvin's definitely gets a lot of love, and it is a very amazing album, and I think a lot of people are drawn to the goofiness of it. But I love seeing appreciation for good and evil as well. Um,
I like Marvin's better.
and that's okay.
The reason I started with Good and Evil was because all the songs are simpler. So I knew it would have been easier to make the covers.
That's fair. That's fair. But for me, I'm like, let's go. There's automaton covers.
Okay, good point. For for me, actually, I'm kind of bummed that people don't like Be Born because on my cover of that, I got my friend to play the fiddle part on his
Oh
violin,
my
his really expensive violin.
gosh.
Like he's a
Oh
real
my
violinist.
gosh.
And he totally ripped that. And like only 100 people I think have heard that cover on my YouTube.
That's
Um
so sad. That's a plug. You've got to go listen to the
it's
Be Born automaton cover. That is actually really good.
you do. Don't listen to it for me. Listen to it for my friend.
Yeah, yeah,
Would appreciate it.
yeah. I feel like B-board does have a lot of fun instrumentation, but a lot of people are put off by it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things about Tally Hall is how much range they have, like genre wise. So I love stuff like Be Born when they just like take a total left turn. Radiohead
No.
lingo. I don't know if this part's gonna get cut out or not, but I have a fun little trinket here for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna reveal it. It's you know the band Jaden
Okay.
Wark, right?
Heck yeah, I know Jaden Wark. You see my
Okay,
Jaden Wark CDs right
I did. Nice, yeah.
there?
I I hope you don't mind. I took a little screenshot of your screen and I sent it to my friend who's in Jaden Wark, and he didn't recognize the Vision is Dead.
Oh my gosh.
He's working on the next one. Anyways, I was at a friend's house. Okay, whatever. I'll show you. I was at a
Okay.
friend's house, and we were doing a paint night, and we were doing a Bob Ross, and then halfway through the night, the drummer of Jaden Wark shows up, and then gives me a high five, and then paints this, and then lets me keep it. Look, that's your signature.
That's amazing.
It's real. Do you know how much
Oh
this
my
is going to be
gosh.
worth on eBay when they blow
It's
up?
going when Jaden Wark that when they release the like third album and the entire band is famous forever, you're going to like have like a $3,000 painting. Um, yeah.
And the wood was like 15 cents. Good return on investment.
That's that is very iconic. Yeah, my proud possessions are the first two
Ooh, you got
uh
both.
CDs. Like, I mean, he had burned his own CDs like prior to that, but I have the first set of each of them because I was the test subject to see if things would ship to the US. So it
That's awesome. I didn't know
worked.
that.
Um,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I enjoy Jaden work a normal amount. That is definitely something where if people like Tally Hall music, they would probably like Jaden Wark music. I have an extreme bias because I've also heard a lot of upcoming Jaden Wark music, so I know how great it's going to be, but it's not out yet, and so it's just like just trust me.
No, I'll be I he sent me a couple 15-second long snippets
Let's
of
go.
like four of the songs. I'm gonna be
Let's
doing
go.
gang vocals for him on Saturday. That's why I can't record on Saturday.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, I saw that they were doing a recording thing. I was like,
Yeah.
man, if only I was Canadian. It's exciting though. He
It's
tried
worth being Canadian just so you could be near Jane Wark.
just to be in a Jaden Wark track.
Hmm.
Best of luck though. Have fun. Have fun. That'll be
I will try
iconic.
my best. He's a really good singer. Some of the some of the snippets I can't hit those notes. I'm not
Yeah,
really sure what I'm gonna do.
Jaden has some extreme range for people who I mean a lot of people know him through Will Wood covers. mashups, which are very good. But his original work, I am I am a big fan of and a big campaigner for.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm getting into Will Wood because I'm into Jaden Wark. I'm like, I need to appreciate all of his influences, I think.
So
Because
true.
I actually stayed away from Will Wood like as best as I could up until this point.
Was there a reason for that? Was it just
There was a
because
pretty terrible reason. I knew I was gonna like it too much. And then I remembered how many years of my life I lost to Tally Hall and arguably Lemon Demon and even Radiohead. Like, I don't want that to happen again because I've heard his music's really good. If there's a, could you give me one song recommendation? I'll take it.
my favorite is well better than the alternative, but it's not everyone's favorite. That one is
Oh,
like
that
my
is one of the ones from the third album that I've heard. I haven't heard the whole thing, but I do really like that one. It's good.
yeah. Yeah, that one's like my overall favorite, but I've been a big Willwood fan too. It's just one of that was just one of the cases where it's just like the tally hall overlap between different things just starts grabbing you into other music. Um, and so Wellwood was definitely a big one from there because of the overlap.
Yeah, at one point I tried to get into Jack Stauber because also the overlap. I couldn't do it though. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. And that's all
I'm
right.
very sorry. Yeah.
Different things, different things. I feel like just part of the reality of Tally Hall is there's only so many songs.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so we all just go a little insane after a while and have to we just naturally branch out to other things. Or other things find us.
Yeah.
Um or could be like me in 2021, only listening to Tally Hall and then only listening to covers of Tally Hall songs. Creating entire playlists based off of one song, be like a titled playlist, like Time Machine. And it's just like 2 hours worth of variations of Time Machine and covers and demos and things. And you know,
Yes, we go a
that's a
little crazy.
that's a powerful part of Tally Hall as well. Do you listen to other covers often, or is it just primarily
It's
making your own stuff?
regrettably I listen to my own stuff a lot. I know probably nobody wants to hear that, but it is the truth. But I will listen to other people's covers. I have heard plenty. There are so many talented people in the Tally Hall community. I mean, goes without saying. What's his name? Johnny Jash.
Yeah. Johnny Cash? No, wait.
Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash made a cover of Tally Hall. No way.
Whoa!
Whoa. It's funny. Actually, they did a cover of the mashup with Johnny Cash and Hurt with frick, Johnny Cash's version of Hurt, and but I sung Never Gonna Give You Up on top of it. That's on my YouTube, isn't it?
It might be on your YouTube. I don't remember if I saw it. I have not watched all of your YouTube videos.
Okay.
Oh.
It's buried. I played it live at an open mic once though, which is fun. I kind of
That's
got the crowd singing along, but I'm playing like Heart on the guitars
oh my
out of that
gosh.
one.
That's iconic. Have you played any Tally Hall songs live or nah?
I did. Actually, yeah. Right around the beginning of when I was getting into sort of doing open mics on my own, I played a cover of Greener because it's one of the ones I knew from my covers. Um, and it went over really well with the four people in the audience who are all my friends who would have liked it anyways. But that was a inspiration to me. I'm like, wow, I could get these four people to like Tally Hall. No way. And then I ended up
Let's
not playing
go.
any more Tally Hall. But
But
I
still,
played
you had your Tally Hall moment.
I did. But after that, I got really into playing at open mics, especially at my school. There's a club that runs open mics like monthly, and I got a little bit too into that club. Now I'm an exec.
Oh,
I kind of
nice.
help run the whole thing. Um, yeah, no, I played all sorts of stuff. It was mostly Radiohead last year, though. This year, I ran out of Radiohead songs to play because I played all of them. So I got into Muse because my drummer friend who likes Radiohead also likes Muse.
have you been working on your own like original music compositions too? I think you like mentioned that you were working on some stuff.
I do original stuff very rarely, and I do recorded covers very rarely also, because the thing I've been focusing the most on is these open mics at the school. Um, I take it to like a whole nother level. Like before I showed up, most of the performances were like solo people with an acoustic guitar and they sing. But like most all of my songs at this point are bands that I put together. I mean, throughout the course of being in this club, and I go to all the open mics, I meet a lot of people. And there's a whole range of like instruments that people play when they go to these things. I've met quite a few drummers. I'm probably the only bassist, actually. There's very few bassists, but I know a bunch of guitarists and keyboardists as well, and like backup singers. Um, so every time I pick a song, or sometimes more often than not, somebody else will pick a song, one of my friends, and then I'll put together a band. So most of my time is spent basically organizing rehearsals with all the different musicians that I'd need to play that song. They've been getting increasingly elaborate. This year, or early this year, I played a cover of Paranoid Android with a six-piece band. So I had to organize everybody to show up on the day. Um, Plus rehearsal, like we didn't even have a rehearsal with all six of us because there was just no way. But somehow that happened. And I keep doing that with like more than one song per open mic at this point. So most of my time is kind of spent doing that as opposed to covers or originals at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. And that's like a whole other level of just like music is the organizational side, where I think definitely there's like an aspect where like when you do a cover for sure that you're seeing all these different parts and how to fill it, but when all of those parts are actually individual people doing something live, that is impressive.
Yes.
But it's does it ever feel like herding cats, or is it do you think it goes well for the most part? Or some
Um,
combination of the two?
it's recently I've been just trying to get as many songs lined up as possible so that if we have a cancellation, then I can still go with the other ones, pretty much. Um, but yeah, most of my friends are pretty enthusiastic about the open mics. I mean, if I meet them there, then chances are they'll be up for showing up a second time.
That's awesome.
Mhm. I have a lot of fun.
Yippee!
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to add or share before we start wrapping up?
Well, I said I don't do original music that much, but I did um do some work for Fun World. Shout out Fun World. This is actually an Abject offshoot, I think. Um,
Whoa.
some of the people from Abject, we started their own server. Um, and they do original music. It's on Spotify. Good luck searching Fun World without getting like children's content. But I have done some original songs for them. I spent a little bit too much time on one of their songs. It ended up being 19 minutes long, and they got really angry at me, so I had to split it into three different songs. But just know it's one song.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That does remind me too, you also did the I mean we had mentioned it earlier when talking about Rep Bit, but you contributed to the contributing to We Like to Play It All, the tribute album. Um Rep had talked a lot about his kind of process there, but what was that like for you?
Well, I think he covered it pretty well in that episode. So you can go watch it if you want to hear more about that. But mine was, maybe I shouldn't say this, but mine was like already in the works before they announced that, and I just finished it.
It works though. It works.
Yeah, you can probably tell like the choir otamatones are much lower quality than like the string otamatones because they were recorded much later. But yeah, on that one I did get to get some guest vocals from I think I think it was Callie who whispered one of the Shia LaBeoufs. Shout out Callie. We've had some collaboration in the past as well.
Nice.
And actually, that's another thing. throughout making these covers, after my Good and Evil cover album, I sort of started trying to work with other people as much as possible because like I've done work with myself, but I could get other people to do things, so I don't have to. And I took that pretty far. I have a list of like 30 people that worked on the Marvin's cover album, although like that was stretched over like 2.5 years, so I had a lot of time to like ask people, do you want to help with this? A lot of the time they just will, if you ask. So I
That's
mean,
awesome.
just a little bit of advice, I guess, if you're starting making covers, just definitely ask people for help. Maybe not more often than not, but chances are you'll find somebody who is willing to help. Like me, actually. I've already done all of them, so
True, true. It's like you've already gained like your bachelor's degree in Tally Hall song covers. Um, so you could do some additional
say that, yeah.
contributions, work towards your master's. Um,
For a time, I wanted to write music that sounded like Tally Hall. It didn't work out. But that was something that I thought I would be able to do after covering all of their songs. I thought maybe I would have some insight. Unfortunately, no. But now that I've made those covers, I definitely know how to make original music, just not specifically music that sounds like them yet. Especially since a lot of their music is inspired by like a bunch of different things that you can kind of point to as opposed to Tally
right.
Hall. I don't know if this is true or not. What do you think?
That Tally Hall is built a lot more out of their influences than just being their own thing. I would agree. I would say that's probably how like 99% of music goes though, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I'm just coping that I can't write a song that sounds like Tally Hall.
Eventually one day though, maybe. Maybe.
Eventually, one day, maybe though, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, where can people find you? Where can they see your stuff, see updates? What should they be looking
Uh,
for?
well, if you know how to spell my username, you can pretty much type that into YouTube or Instagram or what else?
J
Spotify as
U
well.
K
Yeah,
M I F G
it's a
G
pain. Yeah,
U G G H.
I'm not sorry. But yes, technically, I do have a few original songs out on streaming services. Some like video game OSTs as well. Because I had some friends who were doing a game jam, and I wanted to help, but they already knew how to make a game, so I just made the music for them.
Nice.
I'm pretty proud of the ones that I put on Spotify.
That's awesome.
Join Jaden Works Discord server. I am actually in there. I also listen to Jaden work.
Yes. Yes. This is the same with the Repbit podcast. We have to get the Jaden work mention. Um, well, thank you so much for doing this with me. I love music. I am a big music enjoyer, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you joining me for this yap session.
Okay, I thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the platform to get to talk about myself because that's kind of all I
Yippee!
do. But yippee, yes. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for listening to Tally Talks. Shout out to Opal the Thing for being awesome and supporting Tally Talks on Patreon. Yippee! Supporting this show on Patreon makes episodes like these possible. Also, a thank you to Martin, Holly, and Talking Coat for becoming members on the Patreon. Check out the description for the Patreon link as well as a charity campaign link, where if you donate, I will give you a shout out in an upcoming episode or video. Lastly, listen to Jukmifggugg's music. It is linked in the description. I love otamatones and music, so please check it out. Thank you so much for listening to Tally Talks, and have a good day by Tally Hall.